I think we know this, that if we tell our mind to not think of a certain thought, that's exactly where our mind goes first. Like if I tell you right now, don't think about cupcakes. Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to What's the Point. In this episode, we pick up from right where we left off with Sadhguru's book Inner Engineering. If you haven't seen the previous two videos, part 1 and part 2, I would strongly advise that you go there and come back. This video, we're going to get right into it. Sadhguru asked this question that what do we understand by the word myself? It's our body, then our mind, which consists of our thoughts and our emotions, and thirdly our energy. These are three dimensions that we're normally aware of. Now there's also a fourth dimension which is called knowledge. For most people, these four dimensions are aligned in different ways. They feel like they're being pulled apart. Your mind wants one thing, your body wants another thing, so you feel like you're being pulled apart. And a lot of the source of inner conflict that we have is because these four dimensions of us are in different places. They want different things. And yoga is about bringing these four idiots, these four dimensions that you call yourself, together. This final stretch of the book essentially talks about the practicalities and real steps we can take to actually bring these four idiots together and live an aligned life. First, talk about the body. Our body is a huge part of our physical existence. So there are two forces within you. One is of self-preservation, which wants to protect you and keep you safe, and other is of boundless expansion, which is the human desire to constantly expand and want more. Now it may seem that both these desires are opposing and contradicting each other, but what we often miss out is that both these desires are about different dimensions of our life. The self-preservation is only limited to our physical body. That's the only part that has to be protected and saved and preserved. When you talk about spirituality, it's a dimension way beyond the physical. If we have the awareness to separate the two, it'll greatly reduce the amount of conflict within you. To avoid making this too theoretical, let's look at it in a simple way. How do we humans make sense of the world? How do we perceive and how do we understand the world? Through our five senses. Like that's how we make sense of the world. At night, when we're sleeping, everything seems to disappear. Why? Because our five senses shut down. Now, if your perception is limited to your five senses, then your entire experience of life is limited to the physical. While our five sense perceptions are beautiful and crucial for survival, when we want more than survival, they are actually a limiting factor. To really experience life and know life the way that Sadhguru talks about in the book, we need to look within us. Now, you see, the issue with looking within is that all our sense perceptions, like our eyes, our nose, our ears, all these senses are externally bound. Like for example, if an ant is crawling up my body right now, I can feel it. What I can't feel are the gallons of blood that are rushing through my body right now because it's happening inside, and there's no way I can sense what's happening inside me through my sense organ. The aim of this book and of yoga to an extent is to enhance the human experience beyond the five senses, beyond the physical. Sadhguru says that there is another sense beyond these five senses. You can call this the self, the divine, God, whatever you want. And expanding your senses beyond the physical can fully bring a new dimension to your life. A very valid question at this point would be, is this difficult? Do you have to go into a cave or a mountain and sit isolating in order to reach this level of enlightenment? Turns out, no. It has nothing to do with sitting on top of a mountain and doing yoga. The only reason that this has so far been inaccessible to you, to us, is because we've been too distracted by just living life and our thoughts. It's just the lack of attention to whatever is happening within us. For example, our body is a certain way when we're happy, like it's like alert. When we're sad, it might be droopy. So our body is in a different position in different moods. The same way that you can determine someone's mood by the way they're sitting, if you change the way you're sitting, your mood will also change. So basically, your body can be a means of growth or it can be your biggest barrier. And in the book, it says that you should make sure that your body is not a barrier to your growth. The way you hold your body determines your level of perception. A few simple practices that Sadhguru says in the book. Number 1, for a few hours every single day, keep your spine fully straight without any support. Now guys, I'm not saying that I know all this and I know how to do this because I genuinely have very bad posture, but this is something that I've been trying to practice, and I think if we do it slowly every day, that's the only way you'll actually get it. So yeah, number 1, keep your spine straight for a few hours every single day. Number 2, for 11 minutes focus on one sensation. For example, your breath. So for 11 minutes straight, just go like nothing else. See, that was 3 seconds and I already got distracted. So 11 minutes, try focusing on one sensation. This can even be for example, I'm rubbing these 2 fingers. For 11 minutes, just don't think about anything else. Stop. No. It's very easy to get distracted, basically. The third thing is the air you breathe, the food you eat. Be conscious of every time you're just interacting, just like existing, be conscious of your existence. The last thing about your body is the way you eat. Because our physical body is technically just an accumulation of everything that we've eaten so far, of the food we've eaten so far. So we should understand what kind of food works for our body and against our body, and eat the food that works for our body. The way you eat affects not only the way you look, but also how you feel and how you operate. So eat food that is good for your body. Otherwise, it's basically like putting petrol in a diesel car and then wondering why it doesn't work. Like, it'll work, but it's just not at its best capacity. Basically, Sadhguru says that your body is like a TV antenna, and if you hold it the right way, it's receptive to everything. It'll work. But if you just like, if something is off, then nothing, there's no signal. It'll be ignorant to everything except the five senses, and then all your perception will only be limited to the physical domain of life, which we don't want. We're trying to enlighten ourselves here. So yeah. Secondly, let's get to the mind. I think we know this, that if we tell our mind to not think of a certain thought, that's exactly where our mind goes first. Like if I tell you right now, don't think about cupcakes, you possibly have thought of cupcakes right now. As we said in the first video, all that humans are seeking is the sense of inner pleasantness from within. And the thing is, because it's inner pleasantness, there's only one ingredient that affects it, which is you. But what Sadhguru says is that there's a difference between you and your mind. And this distinction is possibly the most important thing that this book says. The distinction between you and your mind. This is a bit complex to understand at the start, so just be patient with me. But think about it this way. It's only because you're alive right now and because you exist that you can think thoughts, correct? But what's happened is that our thoughts have become so compulsive and so powerful that the entire focus of our existence has shifted from like existing to just being psychological. We have to realize that even without our thoughts, if we just stop thinking, we're still existing. Like existence is, regardless of thought. Thoughts are nothing but things that we've gathered and accumulated over the years. You just recycle whatever you've experienced so far from different sources and keep thinking about it in different ways. The question Sadhguru asks is, do you want to live life or do you want to think life? 90% of the time right now, I guarantee you, you're not living life, you're just thinking about it. And for me, this is 100% of the time. So have you come into this world to experience life or just sit and think about it? Your mental process is very small compared to like the magnitude of life and all that it is. So basically, it's time to separate you and who you are from your thoughts. It's very easy to say, guys, I know this, but just think about it. Wow, I'm saying think about it. Don't think about it. Today, people are so immersed in like their thoughts that they forget, they just ignore the world around them. For example, let's say you're walking from home to school. If you're just thinking about like some assignment or something your friend said to someone, you're not even looking at the sky, the sun, the flower. Like actual life is what we're missing while we're just immersed in our thoughts. There's this very powerful line in the book that you can either live with creation or you can manufacture some reality in your own head. Think about it this way. The universe is fine, the sun has risen, the cosmos is fine, everything is good. But one bad thought and your whole day goes bad. Why? Because we're just so immersed in our thoughts. We're basically living in a psychological state which has no connection with reality, with what is actually happening in the world. The point of me saying all this is that once your experience of life is no longer identified with your mind and your thoughts, you're actually free to experience life beyond its limitations. We need to start becoming witness to our own thoughts, and that's the whole point of like yoga and meditation, is that you observe your thoughts, but you just think, oh wow, nice, how stupid a thought, move on. You just don't get consumed by your thoughts. The essence of yoga, and a huge part of what this book says, is to arrive at a distinction and a space between you and your mind. Actually, without logical thinking, we can't survive, that's true. But too much logic is just suicide. It's killing your experience of life. It's important to know when logic should be used and when we need to go beyond it. That is where a beautiful life would lie. I think this video has got a bit heavy at this point, guys. So I'm going to end this here and come back with one last video on this book. But I hope that this makes sense. It does make sense, but it's a bit hard to grasp. So watch it a couple times again. Ask me if you have any questions in the comments below. I will be back in the next video where we will finish this book finally. I hope this video added value to you in some way and you enjoyed watching, hearing, listening, wherever, however you're consuming this episode. And I will see you guys next time.